She was once hailed as the Ice Princess, with a cool beauty and a thunderous serve. But behind the Wimbledon glory and multi-million-dollar contracts, Maria Sharapova was also a child thrown into a harsh world at just 7 years old, living alone in America, not knowing a single word of English. She was once abandoned by the entire world after a doping scandal, losing all the reputation she'd built with blood and tears. People called her a cheat, greedy, and willing to stomp on the rules of the game. But then, she, the only one to rise from the ashes, built the Sharapova empire, drove luxurious Porsches, and is now preparing to step into the Hall of Fame, defying all judgment. How did a girl born in the dust of Chernobyl, who had to contend with the waves of public opinion, not only survive, but also build an empire that conquered the tennis world? Now, let's dive into the colorful life of the player dubbed the Queen of Screams, Maria Sharapova. Siberian shadows and a proud seat of life. Maria Yurievna Sharapova was born on April 19, 1987 in the frigid lands of Nyagan, Siberia, where winters stretched on, seemingly endless. She was born into an immigrant family from Belarus. Her parents, Yuri and Yelena Sharapova, carried the unhealed wounds of a terrifying catastrophe, the Chernobyl nuclear reactor explosion in 1986. Just 1 year before Maria's first cry, reactor number 4 exploded, spreading radioactive dread across Belarus, forcing her family to flee eastward to Siberia. The snow there was white, but at least it didn't carry the stench of death. They lost everything, leaving behind their homeland, friends, and old memories, trading them for a harsh life, but hoping for a safer future for their unborn child. In their cramped apartment in Nyagan, Maria grew up amidst the cold and scarcity, yet she was enveloped by her parents' unwavering love. Yuri, a somewhat gruff man with a steel heart, recognized early on that his daughter possessed a strange energy. She was a gangly, scrawny girl, but when she held a plastic racket, she hit the ball with incredible ferocity. At 4 years old, Maria, barely able to speak in full sentences, could hit balls over the net with a stone-cold expression. In 1991, the Sharapova family moved to Sochi, southern Russia, seeking warmth in a better environment. It was in Sochi that Maria first encountered a real tennis court, holding an old racket Yuri had received from friends. From those tiny yellow balls, the little girl began to nurture a big dream that no one dared to dream, for her escaping her immigrant status and rising above a past of nuclear fallout. But fate was even harsher. In 1993, when Maria was just 6 years old, the legendary Martina Navratilova unexpectedly saw her playing at a training camp in Moscow and advised the family to take Maria to America, the paradise of tennis, to hone her talent. That advice, for others, might have been a fleeting whisper. But for her father, Yuri, it was like a saving ray of light. Finally, in 1990, when Maria was 7, she and her father boarded a plane to Florida with only a few $100s, embarking on a journey no child should have to face alone. Her mother, Yelena, was stuck in Russia due to visa issues and couldn't accompany them. For the first 2 years in a strange land, Maria had only her father, a makeshift dormitory, and a racket for company. No one understood the blonde Russian girl. No one taught her how to say hello in English. No one comforted her when the aching longing for her mother struck at night. But it was that very darkness that forged an ice-cold warrior in terrible solitude. Maria Sharapova began to package her aspirations, suppressing her tears only to smash them back into the ball with all the ferocity of a soul pushed to the brink. That was Maria Sharapova, the childhood born from nuclear ash, raised in Siberian blizzards, and transforming herself into a steel bullet before the world called her a legend. Queen of Screams, from glory to abyss. In 2001, at just 14 years old, Maria Sharapova officially entered the world of professional tennis, a slender, blonde girl with a slight Russian accent, but eyes as sharp as blades. At IMG Academy, where she had to accept iron discipline, Sharapova quickly emerged like a cold wind. No one could have predicted she would rewrite history just 3 years later. In the summer of 2004, on the grass courts of Wimbledon, a 17-year-old stepped onto center court for the final against Serena Williams, a notorious, powerful, almost invincible player. The entire world assumed Serena would crush the young Russian. But then, in the most prestigious arena, Maria unleashed thunderous shots, her screams echoing as if tearing apart all skepticism. Sharapova defeated Serena 6-Gen round 6-4, creating one of the biggest upsets in women's tennis history. That night, she stood on the podium, becoming the youngest Wimbledon champion in 15 years, and a new icon was born, the Siberian Siren. From that victory, Maria began her journey to conquer all 4 Grand Slams, a dream that even the greatest players haven't necessarily achieved. She added the prestigious US Open in 2006, the Australian Open in 2008, in the pinnacle of Roland Garros in 2012 and 2014, turning the clay court, once considered her weakness, into her own kingdom. 36 WTA titles, 5 Grand Slams, world number 1 for 21 weeks. Maria built an empire with her fiery style, blended with a cold, unapproachable beauty on the court. She was always like an impenetrable fortress off the court. She rarely socialized with other players on tour, further intensifying her Ice Queen image. But that crown wasn't around all roses. In 2016, a shadow fell. Maria tested positive for meldonium, a substance banned since the beginning of that year. In an instant, her proud tower crumbled. People called her a cheat, someone who ruined the spirit of fair play, and sponsors worth tens of millions of dollars turned their backs. Maria received a 15-month suspension, lonely and humiliated, watching her reputation sink to the bottom. But she didn't give up. When she returned in 2017, although she never regained her peak form, Maria still fought, still hammered forehands with all her heart, proving she wouldn't succumb to public scorn. On February 26, 2020, Sharapova announced her retirement, closing out a brilliant 19-year career on the tennis court. But her legacy didn't end there. Maria had already transformed her Sugarpova candy brand into a multi-million-dollar empire, investing in technology, health, fashion, and maintaining her status as a global icon. And like a belated triumph, in 2025, Maria Sharapova will officially be inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame, alongside the immortal names of history, from a Siberian girl who fled radiation, to a tennis queen then tarnished by a doping scandal. Maria ultimately stands on a pinnacle that no enemy could extinguish. Today, amidst the clamor of social media and whispers of gossip, Sharapova still exudes a strange charisma like a meteor, burning fiercely, falling, then rising brighter than ever. The Sugarpova empire and gilded dreams. When people talk about Maria Sharapova, they're not just talking about thunderous forehands. They're also talking about a masterful brand queen who knows how to turn fame into millions of dollars. After nearly 2 decades on the court, Maria has built an enviable fortune, over $38 million in prize money, plus more than $300 million from endorsements and investments, making her one of the richest female athletes in sports history. The heart of that financial empire is Sugarpova, the candy brand she founded in 2012 with an incredibly bold idea to transform sweet candies into a fashion statement, with a sporty yet luxurious style. From an initial investment of just $500,000, Sugarpova exploded in success, expanding to over 20 countries and achieving estimated annual revenues of over $20 million. Maria once proudly declared that she didn't just want to be in my advertising face, but to truly sit at the decision-making table. Beyond that, Sharapova has invested in projects that impress the startup world. Therabody, the highly popular sports recovery device, Supergoop, a premium sunscreen brand well known in the US, and Tonal in-home gym technology favored by Silicon Valley stars. Each investment decision reflects her clear life philosophy: healthy, beautiful, and powerful. But Maria doesn't just make money, she also knows how to enjoy it. During her years living in the US, Sharapova owned a beachfront mansion in Manhattan Beach, California. She bought this house in 2005 for nearly $3.8 million and sold it in 2015 for $525 million, according to the Los Angeles Times. The modern-style house spanned over 3,500 square feet, featuring a large glass roof, a Pacific Ocean view terrace, and an open, minimalist aesthetic. She personally selected the interior materials, from the type of wood flooring to the smallest decorative items, creating a space that blended Scandinavian design with an East Asian tranquility, a true reflection of Sharapova herself, cool on the outside, yet deep and aesthetically refined. In addition to the Manhattan Beach Villa, Maria also owns a private apartment in Los Angeles, where she lives with her fiancé Alexander Gilks and their young son Theodore. Some reliable sources also indicate she has properties in Florida, a state closer to the Russian-American community. The total estimated value of Sharapova's real estate portfolio exceeds $10 million, not overly flashy, but enough to show that she lives in a very exclusive class. In her garage, Sharapova doesn't choose the ostentatious luxury favored by some athletes, but still impresses anyone who steps inside. As a global ambassador for Porsche since 2013, she owns a collection of high-end cars gifted by the company and personally invested in. Her 911 Carrera S Cabriolet and 911 4S Cabriolet came to her as rewards after victories in Stuttgart. But most notably, she has a special edition Panamera GTS that Porsche co-designed with her in elegant Carrera white, with espresso leather interior, hand-stitched detailing, and even her name engraved inside, showcasing a rare level of sophisticated brand-icon relationship. Not stopping there, Maria also owns a Porsche 918 Hybrid, a hybrid sports car, valued at nearly $900,000, a classic 911 Targa, an elegant Boxster, and a practical Macan SUV for longer trips. Beyond Porsche, her graphite gray Range Rover autobiography, frequently seen with her at events, also shows Maria prefers durable, powerful, yet understated choices. Though she has never claimed to be a car enthusiast, Sharapova's collection, estimated to be worth over $1.4 million, says it all. She chooses cars like she chooses her lifestyle, refined, effective, and expressing her personal identity. To further understand Sharapova's aesthetic taste, one must mention her cherished wristwatch collection, which she values as part of her memories. Maria was a global ambassador for Tag Heuer for nearly a decade, from 2004 to 2016. She not only participated in promotional campaigns, but also worked directly with the design team to create watch editions specifically for women, combining strength with elegance. At major events like the Met Gala or the ASBI Awards, Sharapova often wore models like the Tag Heuer Formula One Lady Steel and Ceramic, or the Carrera Lady watches that were both fashion accessories and iconic symbols of precision, durability, and style. According to some collectors, her watch collection is valued at over $500,000, not including a few Audemars Piguet Royal Oak frosted gold models she acquired after stepping down as Tag Heuer ambassador. For Sharapova, each watch marks a milestone, a championship, a successful business deal, or simply a self-reward after months of hard work. Maria Sharapova has proven that a top athlete doesn't just live on past glory. She has successfully transformed sports into a lifestyle, a financial empire, and, more importantly, a powerful, inspiring image for modern women. Beautiful, intelligent, independent, and knowing how to enjoy the fruits of their labor. A tennis player who emerged from the Siberian frost, once penniless, once rejected by the world, now owns gilded dreams that even kings would admire. And it all started with a girl, with a racket, and a spirit that never backed down. When love broke her girl, Maria Sharapova wasn't just a queen on the tennis court. She was also a queen in her own life, even when facing tumultuous romantic relationships. People once thought a cold, strong woman like Maria would never be vulnerable, but deep down, she also longed for a shoulder to lean on, like any other woman. Sharapova's romantic journey began with relationships tied to the spotlight. Around 2009, she dated Sasha Vujacic, the famous basketball player who once played for the Los Angeles Lakers. Their beautiful romance seemed destined for marriage when they got engaged in 2010. But differences in their schedules, distance, and the pressure of fame gradually drove them apart, leading to a breakup before their wedding in 2012. Sasha later still praised Maria as one of the strongest and most resilient people he had ever met. After that heartbreak, Sharapova's heart once again fell for Grigor Dimitrov, a handsome Bulgarian tennis player 4 years her junior. They became the golden couple of the global tennis world, frequently appearing together on magazine covers. But then, like a cruel law of sports, Two busy match schedules suffocated the relationship. By 2015, Grigor quietly exited Maria's world, leaving her once again alone in her own spotlight. Some say Sharapova is a steel rose, too proud to compromise with anyone. But in reality, she just hadn't found someone who understood the deepest corners of her soul. And then destiny intervened, leading Maria to meet Alexander Gilkes in 2018, a debonair British businessman and founder of Paddle 8, described as a close friend of the British royal family. Gilkes wasn't a tennis player or a sports star, but he saw in Maria a person beyond her glory, a woman who had been hurt, who had stumbled, and who deserved to be protected. In late 20, they got engaged in a private ceremony, away from the hustle and bustle. The two haven't officially married yet, but welcomed their baby boy, Theodore, in July 2022. Maria has shared many times that motherhood has profoundly changed her, teaching her to listen, be patient, and put others before herself. In the summer of 2024, Maria and Alexander, along with their son, cruised the Mediterranean on the yacht Great White, like a belated honeymoon. No wedding dress, no lavish ceremony needed. They still enjoy a true, free, and peaceful home. Though the world once scorned, doubted, and called Maria an ice doll, she herself has written the most beautiful love story, overcoming so many heartbreaks to find the man who makes her feel safe and happy. A girl who was once alone in a foreign land, once bewildered, standing between triumph and rock bottom, finally grasped the simplest happiness in life: family. The Meldonium shadow and an unyielding curse. Despite her goddess-like appearance, Maria Sharapova couldn't escape the dark corners that always lurk in the world of sports. One day in early March 2016, the Los Angeles press conference room held its breath as Maria, her blonde hair still neatly styled, her voice trembling, announced she had failed a doping test at the Australian Open. The substance meldonium, used in medicine to treat heart conditions, was added to the ban list on January 1, 2016. But Maria claimed she was unaware. In a flash, the reputation she had built with her youth was doused with cold water. Fans were shocked, rivals secretly rejoiced, and sponsors quickly fled. Nike, Porsche, and Tag Heuer all froze their contracts with a cold, precise maneuver, no different from the accurate shots Maria once unleashed. Maria was suspended from playing for 2 years, later reduced to 15 months after an appeal. But that more than a year suspension was a fatal wound. A player who had once stood at the top of the world, who had terrified Serena Williams, suddenly became a villain. Some called her a liar. Others said she was just an overhyped product for years. But Maria didn't run away. She appeared before the media with a steely face, repeating the message, "I take responsibility, I will be back." When her ban ended, she returned to the court, booed, scorned, and scrutinized for every gesture. But Sharapova stood there, smashing every serve with the strength of someone who had lost everything and had only one thing left: her pride. The controversy didn't stop at doping. Maria had long been famous for her loud grunts, sometimes exceeding 100 decibels, to the point where opponents complained they couldn't concentrate. Some commentators called her the Screamer, suggesting it was a tactic to disorient opponents. Maria sarcastically replied, "If they don't like it, they can wear earplugs." Furthermore, when Maria received a series of wildcards after her suspension, a wave of indignation arose. Caroline Wozniacki, Eugenie Bouchard, and even Andy Murray publicly criticized, arguing that an athlete who had been caught doping should not receive special favors. But Sharapova didn't care. She stepped onto the court, calmly, as if all the judging eyes were just a passing breeze. People may love her or hate her, but they cannot deny that Maria Sharapova embodies ultimate defiance. The doping scandal could have sunk her, turning her into a failure. But ultimately, that fall made Maria stronger, tougher, and once again an inspiring story of resurrection. Today, as she prepares to enter the Hall of Fame in 2025, she, the one who was once rejected, is honored as a warrior who refused to give up. Glory and blemish merge into one, like a permanent tattoo, reminding the world that Maria Sharapova is not a gentle princess, but a warrior wearing a crown of blood. A crown not just of gold, but of compassion. If you only looked at her titles, You'd be overwhelmed by the legacy Maria Sharapova left behind. She's the 10th female player in history to complete a career Grand Slam, with 5 major titles: Wimbledon 2004 US Open, 2006 Australian Open 2008, and Roland Garros in 2012 and 2014. Add to that 36 WTA titles, 21 weeks as world number 1, and a silver medal at the 2012 London Olympics. That's a golden record even her fiercest rivals must acknowledge. But it would be a disservice to merely count the trophies and forget that Maria also left a profound humanitarian legacy off the court. Even after controversy, she dedicated many years to charity work, as a way of proving she wouldn't crumble under doubt. Sharapova served as a United Nations Development Program (UNDP) Goodwill Ambassador, focusing on supporting the reconstruction of areas affected by the Chernobyl disaster, the very place her parents had to flee to protect her life. She contributed significant financial aid to schools, hospitals, and childcare for children suffering from radiation aftermath, seeing it as an unpayable debt to fate. Additionally, Maria supported numerous initiatives for women's and children's health in vulnerable communities through the WTA Global Women's Health Fund and other international organizations. She also emphasized in her talks that motherhood profoundly changed her perspective on the world, making her want to engage more deeply in philanthropic projects. Not stopping there, Sharapova also established scholarships for children at IMG Academy, the very place where she began her career to provide opportunities for underprivileged but aspiring young athletes. For her, no child should have to pay the price of a harsh childhood like she herself experienced. Beyond her charitable activities, Maria used her life experience to inspire, appearing at business, women's empowerment, and sports events, sharing her story of recovery after the doping scandal. Not to self-exculpate, but to demonstrate the will to rise when the whole world turns its back. And then, as a fitting recognition, in 2020, Maria Sharapova will officially be inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame, standing alongside the legends of tennis history, from a Siberian girl fleeing radiation, growing up in the cold, to a queen with a demanding crown. She ultimately ascended to glory through her own courage and an indomitable heart. Amidst the dazzling lights, as the audience applauds, Maria will surely remember her first day in a Florida dormitory. Lonely and foreign, not understanding a word of English. It was those very wounds that forged her into an immortal icon, a true warrior, not just on the tennis court, but also in her journey as a human being. Unwritten chapters and a continuing legacy. As 2025 unfolds, Maria Sharapova is no longer the small girl standing against a media storm, nor just a retired tennis player. She now carries new missions: a mother, a founder, an inspiring icon. With her Sharapova brand, Maria plans to expand from sweet candies to a line of functional foods and nutrition products for children. She doesn't hide her ambition to turn Sharapova into a global empire, moving beyond a mere snack to become part of a healthy modern lifestyle. She wants to personally control production and distribution, setting up factories in the US to ensure quality and reduce risk. In parallel, Maria continues her philanthropic work, especially in her role as a UNDP ambassador. She intends to expand scholarship projects for children in Eastern Europe, where historical events still leave many lingering effects, to help them access tennis opportunities without the burden of financial hardship. Not only that, Sharapova also nurtures the idea of developing a coaching or mentoring program for young tennis players, especially female athletes, to pass on her experience in overcoming crises, something she paid a high price to learn. Many in the tennis world believe that Maria, with her unique appeal, could easily become a guest commentator for Grand Slams or a widely influential mentor. On the family front, Maria and Alexander Gilkes are considering a small, private wedding, possibly by late 2025. After many ups and downs, she no longer craves a lavish ceremony, only wishing for her closest loved ones to be present, enough to mark their bond. Baby Theodore is also preparing to enter preschool, and Maria says she will prioritize being with her son during his early formative years before returning to her business ventures full-time. No one knows for sure how far Maria Sharapova will go, but one thing is certain: she will never stop. Because it was the most painful falls that taught her that dreams can always be reborn. as long as one has the perseverance to fight it on. Perhaps after the Hall of Fame in 2025, Maria will step onto leadership speaking stages, inspiring generations of young women, or even venture into podcasts to spread her values. Perhaps she will quietly raise her son and disappear from the spotlight for a time. But whatever her choice, Maria will carry the spirit of a warrior, unyielding, unwavering. Maria Sharapova is a living testament to an extraordinary journey starting from frozen Siberia, carrying the fear of Chernobyl's aftermath, a young girl who didn't speak English, standing amidst buried dreams in a tiny Florida dorm room. From there, she soared to become one of the greatest tennis players in history, carrying 5 Grand Slam trophies like bright torches through life's storms. Maria fell, was humiliated, and faced harsh judgment from the world. Yet she bravely rose, dared to step into the fiercest matches, with her honor wounded and her pride intact. And when she left the court, she not only left her mark with achievements, but also built a greater legacy, inspiring, empowering, and instilling hope in other children who started at a disadvantage. Today, as she prepares to enter the International Tennis Hall of Fame, Maria Sharapova can hold her head high not because she never failed, but precisely because she failed and rose stronger than anyone. She learned to forgive herself, learned to love her son and fiancé, learned to turn dreams into reality without forgetting those desperate nights. We are not responsible if you misunderstand or misapply this content. Please use your own judgment, verify information, and receive it selectively. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, share, or subscribe to our channel. That's the fuel that keeps us telling more amazing stories about other tennis superstars.